Cool. All right, thank you. Good morning. We'll call to order at 7:30. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance when the kids do it downstairs, so that's, take care of that then. Okay, first item is recommended actions would be approval of minutes from May 1st, and Jen provided them. If the minutes are okay, look for a motion to approve the minutes of May 1st.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Corey,
Second.
second by Mr. McCaffrey. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye, opposed, carries. There is no old business, project administration, no bid document release authorizations, no bid reviews or awards. Number 3 is recommended awards. First one is Jada Trucking for $32,105. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Iafredi and Mr. Gothberg's absence.
Thank you. So 3A Jada Trucking for $32,105 is for the Drum Rock move. This is to move the contents out of the Drum Rock building, out of the building prior to the demolition before the new high school built.
Any
Looking for the
questions?
approval on that?
Any questions for Mike on that? We had decided we're going to level Drum Rock to make it easier for the construction. Okay. All right, hearing none, looking for a motion to approve Jada at $32,105.
So-
Moved by Mr. Kravitz, second by Superintendent Dambrook. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is Secosha and Associates for $8,137.50 for Oakland Beach renovation.
This one is for the Oakland Beach project. This is for the brick facade design fee for Secosio. In the previous May meeting, Mr. Gothberg discussed the repairs needed on the brick facade. The change order came through for investigation with the lift and the labor, and this is the design fee for that work. So I'm looking for your approval at $8,137.50.
Any questions for anyone on that? That's the brick that's starting to fall apart, right?
Yes.
And so, okay. So we don't have this is for your work, and then
Well, it's
an estimate will come back to us for the actual work, right?
Correct.
it's both. This includes a report and a lift and an investigation by a structural engineer team.
Got it.
So that's part of that fee.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No more questions? Motion to approve? So it's already second, it's already been moved, right? Did somebody move this?
No.
I'm sorry. Okay, looking for motion to approve Secosha for $8,137.
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Lucy. Seconded by
Second.
Superintendent Dambrook. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Change order reports. Item 4A, all board construction.
This is for the Warwick elevator and site project. We experience subsurface water pooling in the parking lot next to the building. And so in order to alleviate those problems, we have to add underground drainage to tie into the existing main under the parking lot. And so we're looking to do that now while we're on site, taking care of the elevator and the site project.
And the total on that's $49,656. Any questions for Mr. Iafredi? And hearing none, look for a motion to approve the change order for all board.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Corey, seconded by
Second.
Superintendent Dambrook. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, WB Mason for the Oakland Beach renovation, mechanical building envelope.
So during the process of moving the furniture and equipment out of the building before the job, a piece of furniture for the secretary's office was damaged. So this change order is to add a new piece of furniture for her space. This is $1,274.74. Looking for your approval.
Any questions for Mr. Iafredi?
I have a question.
Yes.
So why aren't the people who moved it and broke it paying for it?
So I am under the understanding that it just fell apart as due to age and usage. I can find out what the history of that discussion was. I'm not sure of that answer.
Oh, I just wondered if.
Yeah.
I know. Can they put Humpty Dumpty back together again?
You'll
Yeah,
find
I'll find
out.
out. Yeah, I'll find out the history. Yep.
My gut tells me it's probably something that's as old as Oakland Beach itself.
That's what he figured out.
Okay, all right, so, if there are no other questions, looking for a motion to approve WB Mason for $1,274.74.
So moved.
Moved by
Miss one meeting and forget.
Mr. Holmes. Moved by Mr. Holmes, second by Mr. Bowl. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. I apologize. Complete blank. All right, next. All right, consent payment authorizations. Want to do each vendor at a
Yeah, we'll
time?
take the next three
Mike,
together.
okay. All right, first is All Board.
5A Allbrook Construction for $123,690. This is over at Greenwood Mechanical Renovation Project. The majority of this cost is for ductwork fabrication and storage to ensure that we are ready and no setbacks when we start the project at the end of this month.
Any questions for Mr. Iafredi on that one? We'll just address them one at a time. We can vote on them as a
Sure.
Okay.
Next one is for application 18, $9,337. This is for Sherman renovation. We had held retainage to address any warranty issues, and this is just the payment cycle for this month for $9,337.
Any questions from Mr. Iafredi on that? Okay. Next one, Walkneck.
Yep, this is Warwick Neck ADA elevator and site project for $81,045. Major components of this is dumpster pad enclosures and reinforcement steel, masonry. Those are big ticket items making up that cost for the project coming up.
What's the timetable on that project? That to be done this summer?
Yes, it is.
Yep. Okay. All right, so $81,045. So if there are no other questions, I'd be looking for a motion to accept all board consent payments, A, B, and C totaling $214,072.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lucy, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bowl. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next, Dimeo,
Yep.
totaling $38,271.30.
Both D&E are first application for the high schools, one for Pilgrim, one for Tollgate, for $19,135.65 each, for a total of $38,271.30.
D&E again is,
What's that?
the D&E means, is that what you said?
Dimeo, sorry.
Yeah, but you said for D and E.
Oh, sorry, 5 D&E, those are the line items.
Oh, I'm
My
sorry.
apologies, yes.
That makes sense.
This is their pre-construction services.
They're building at a flat
For the high
rate for 10 months for pre-construction services.
I didn't hear you.
They're building for, at a flat rate for 10 months for pre-construction services.
And then what do they do during that period?
So pre-construction services encompasses their estimating support, their constructability support. They've earned this money over the last month.
Absolutely.
Any other questions for Mr. Iafredi or left field?
I'll move that for a motion. to
Yeah,
approve.
okay. Moved by Mr. Kravitz to approve Dimeo for $38,271. Second? Second by Superintendent Danbrook. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, E.W. Berman for $912,254.
This is application 5. This is the Oakland Beach renovation project. This brings us to about 60% invoice for the project. Large items on this: roofing, sealing, structural steel, HVAC, really the nitty gritty of the job. We're making good progress there, so I'm looking for approval on that amount.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Iafredi?
When is it gonna be finished, completed, by the end?
So we're starting to turn over spaces to Kevin's team for cleaning now, but we are looking to have that space over to us. We're moving contents back in the end of this month, and then power and start up towards the middle of July. So hopefully by August, we are ready to start moving, turn it over the space.
Okay.
Now, Steve, I talked to Steve about this the other day, and you have to kind of push Berman a little bit because there was a sense of lack of a
Yes.
sense of urgency for this, so, and we weren't gonna have a repeat of last year, so, okay. Okay, any other questions? If not, looking for a motion to approve E.W. Berman for $912,254.60.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Holmes, seconded
Second.
by Mr. Lucy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, Garofalo for $1,480.
These are both for the Pilgrim and Tollgate sites for site exploration that they've done on the site for both Pilgrim and Tollgate, $902 for Pilgrim and $578 for Tollgate, for a total of $1,480. Looking for the approval on that.
Any questions for Mr. Iafredi?
What are they doing? Site engineering?
utility surveys,
Oh, utility.
underground utility surveys,
Okay.
mapping, updating the survey documents accordingly.
Right.
Thanks, John.
So we don't hit anything and have to replace it.
Exactly.
Okay, looking for a motion to approve Garofalo for $1,480.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lucy, seconded
Second.
by Superintendent Danbrook. All in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carries. Item I,
Mr. Chair, next time, different things related to high schools, can we get backup documentation to be included in the folder?
absolutely.
So we have it, just so when we vote on something, we can justify that.
Yep.
This is what we voted on.
Yeah, so it wasn't part of the 86 pages here. I didn't, okay, yep. Jen, you got that, right?
You would like the proposal attached to the invoice, the proposal that has been,
Yeah, so whatever's on, with the dollar amount on the agenda,
We're voting on this documentation.
yeah, the 86
I
411.
can include the approved proposals with the invoices.
Okay. All right, item,
Just a question, sir. So for, just so I'm clear, for the Dimeo ones, would you like Dimeo's proposal so you can see the pre-construction number and their pre-construction
I know we're
services?
paying them over time for the pre-construction, but what they've completed, so we know.
Okay,
yeah, just so, just,
A little detail, just so it's
excuse me, yeah.
transparent on everything.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Caffrey. Okay, so next is item I is Green Acres, 86,411 for Oakland Beach Playground.
Yep, so this amount brings us to about 84% invoiced on the Oakland Beach playground job. Green Acres is doing all of our playgrounds, and they only invoiced in Oakland Beach for this month for $86,411.70.
So that's 86%, 84% invoiced.
Yep,
Along the project, that means the project's almost done.
just about.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Iafredi?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. McCaffrey, seconded by
Second.
Ms. Calori. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, item J, left field, project management for $110,000.
Yep, this is left field PM for the OPM monthly services for both Pilgrim and Tollgate. As Chris mentioned, how Dimeo earned their fee, so has left field to this point. So $110,000.
Any questions for Mr. Iafredi? Hearing none, looking for a motion to approve left field at $110,000.
I'll make it.
Mr. Kravitz, moved by Mr. Kravitz, second by Mr. Lucy. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item K, SOM Architecture, $674,078.70 for the Pilgrim High School project.
Yep, so this is Pilgrim. This is for their continuation of the schematic design. There are for $674,078.70 is for the continuation of the schematic design up to this point.
It seems like a lot.
I was just gonna make the same comment.
That brings them to about 75% done for SDs. SDs are due by the end of the month, so I think we're, percentage wise is where I expect them to be at this point.
Yeah, agreed. I think Mike's right, that they have ramped up in the last couple of months to get the SD package and ready for Radsonville.
And where is Tollgate in the SD pack?
a little bit further behind. And the reason for that is because we had to make some substantial changes, and I'll let Steve go into this based on the site and the ADA issues that came down from RIDE about the CTC building as well. However, they're both going to be submitted as part of the same package. The Cochio's ramping up their services as well. Steve, did I say anything that you don't agree with?
Well, we're about at the same level at Pilgrim.
Just your billing sequences are a little different.
Well, yeah.
So at some point, next month,
We-
we're gonna see.
Yeah, I mean, we don't bill at the same time, so,
Yeah,
you know.
the billing patterns are a little different
Yeah.
for both firms, yeah.
And that's all being tracked anyway, right? So it's all being kept a record of.
We've already had an opportunity to look at Mr. Bowles' general ledger for the project, and we're tracking the expenses now. That's it.
Yeah.
In conjunction.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of conversations with both firms, so that even I know that, so.
Yes.
Okay. All right, any other questions for anyone on that? So hearing none, I'm looking for a motion to approve SOM for $674,078.70.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Gold, seconded by? Second by Mr. Holmes. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I want to call you Mr. Nixon. I don't know why, 'cause I don't know a Bill Nixon. I don't know a Bill Nixon, so. Jesus. Okay. Okay, next would be, these are all Secotio items L through BB. Most of them are relatively small amounts. We just want to take them all. Mike can explain it. We'll just take it as a package and vote on the whole thing. If anybody wants to pull one out, they can, but, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the majority, if not all of these, are for construction administration services for these projects, and I'll let Secotio add any insight to that, but that's how I understand it for each of these sites, for a total of $53,938.17.
Most of them are for CA, except for the building envelope projects that are in design right now. Those are the last few that are on the list. The plus
Second page.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of them, it says pending item D3B approval, whatever. It's the Oakland Beach building envelope, 733750. But we've had that on the agenda before like that, so. Any questions for either Mr. Iafredi or Secotio? Okay, hearing none, looking for a motion to approve Secotio items L through BB for $53,938.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lucy, seconded.
Second.
Second by Ms. Corey. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business. It's going to be a quick meeting today.
Yeah.
New business discussion, project status update per Mr. Iafredi.
So we started to discuss Oakland Beach a little bit. So Steve, Mr. Gothberg and I definitely had to push them a little bit on urgency and project pace. We felt that they weren't feeling the urgency that we thought they needed to, so we pushed hard. Like I said, we are making progress. We are turning spaces over to Mr. Oliver's team, which has been good. The end of the month, we will have the switchgear on site for power switchover. And then through the month of July, we are doing startups, cleanups, and then windows are not coming in until the middle part of August. So I think Mr. Goffberg mentioned last week last meeting that we will be doing the windows when the kids go back to school off hours. And that will be the last part of the job. But I think we're in good shape there. We have work to do. But we are looking a lot better than we were even last week.
When they move everything out of Oakland Beach
Yep,
here,
yep.
do you have a storage containers over there
We are going to try to put them in their place, in their rooms.
before you finish cleaning?
Yes. So like I said, there are spaces that we're kind of phasing our way out of the building. So there are spaces that they can move furniture in. And then if they have to stage them in certain rooms that are already clean, they can do that.
And that's all done in consultation with Mr. Oliver. And
Yeah.
I'm assuming Mr. Oliver will be the final say as to whether or not that's workable or not.
Yes,
right?
we're meeting closely with him and discussing,
Yep.
Tomorrow.
yes.
Mike, is there a premium associated with Berman's off-hours work to do
So,
those windows?
There is a discussion that we're having on that regard. We are working through that process now. They are looking for an additional ad, but I don't know if that's gonna happen or not.
These the windows, these are the hurricane-proof
Yes.
windows, we should afford that.
Yes, we are fighting that.
Too late on this one, but
What do you mean, fight what?
the rating of the
Whether they need
windows.
them?
Yeah.
No, yeah, whether they need the.
We did.
I thought you did.
We did get that request from the GC. That's what delayed the windows,
Right.
because they were pushing hard to get that requirement, removed from the,
Right.
but it's
It was
code.
always spec that way.
It was specified hurricane windows because the code requires it.
Right.
And when the GC brought that up, they tried to bring up certain things from the manufacturer saying that it's not warranted. So we ran it by the building official, we ran it by the fire marshal, and they both concurred that it's definitely needed hurricane windows at the site. We could not relieve that.
That's because
for
of the
project.
distance from the shore.
It's anything within 1 mile of the shore by code needs to be hurricane rated. So we couldn't get relief from the AHJs, so
Right.
we had to proceed with the hurricane windows.
So your question is, should it be paying them an ad for the overtime work to install these windows?
Right.
Yeah, we don't feel they should. So,
No, they delayed it
Right.
on their own accord by keep pushing the fact that they thought that we didn't need hurricane windows when they should have probably ordered them earlier.
that the whole building that needs hurricane windows or just
Yes.
the entire building?
They already presented the PCO for that, and I review it, rejecting it, so tomorrow we're gonna have another meeting with them.
Right.
Jim, I have a question. On the occupancy of Opal Beach, will those spaces be occupied by students and teachers?
While we're doing the windows,
Well, you're talking about moving furniture into certain areas and,
that's happening prior to occupancy.
okay.
Yep.
I just want to make sure that
Yes.
we get involved and we look at things also and make sure it's safe.
Right, yep, no, we're moving in and that, they will not be occupying the building when. Some ductwork about in the attic, run some electrical feeds. We did as much as we could, so we are in good shape as we start the project at the end of this month. Holloman, we will take care of that in September or the start of the school year when the kids start school here at Gorton. Green next door, we're trying to release the contractor to perform some work sooner rather than later, like removing displays, doing some electrical conduits, stuff like that we can do on the front end of the building. So we have a better shot in the schedule in the condensed summer months. And then the playgrounds, we all know that we're hitting some obstacles with weather and supply chain issues. Poured in place rubber is being scheduled as we speak, so we're waiting for an update on that, and then Mr. Goffberg and I can update you the next time we meet. And that's what we have for updates this time.
And the green building, most of that work isn't bonded, right?
Correct, that's
Yeah,
not
that's,
about it.
so that's not something for us, that's just part of the regular update stuff.
Yep, sorry.
Okay. Right, any questions for Mr. Iafredi on that? Playground should all be done by the end of the summer.
Oh, yes,
And maybe even by the end of school, or shortly
That's the hope.
thereafter.
that's the,
Okay. Okay. Next discussion, high school project update for left field. Chris and John?
Yeah, I'll kick us off. In your meeting packet, you have our May monthly OPM project report. I'll point everyone to page 2 under the executive summary and just give a quick update on the design process, the construction manager, Dimeo, their estimating team, and a third-party cost estimator, CHA, that was hired by us, produced independent cost estimates on both projects and then reconciled the two during a couple of day-long meetings. And in doing that, have produced reconciled cost estimates for both projects. And since that time, early May, we have been engaging in value engineering workshops weekly to try to align the project cost with the budget. And Chris, I don't know if you-
Only to say that at this point, these are all, nothing affects program, nothing affects the quality of the work at this point, anything like that. It's really looking for efficiencies, ways that we can maybe just do a little bit more with what we currently have. And as a reminder to everyone, and has been said to me 150 times, we do not have more than one penny of $350 million for this work. Our goal is to bring you a project and bring RIDE a project that is on budget, at schematic design, so we can move forward from that point.
Staying on page 2 under sustainability, and this is just a recap from the last committee meeting. We did vote not to proceed with the VRF all-electric mechanical system, as you folks know. Rebates and incentives, we are now engaged with Leidos Electrification Services, who's partnered with Rhode Island Energy to participate in that incentive program for low EUI. Under construction management services, we just want to report that
Well, just real quick,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, so looking at $1.50 reimbursement effect on that, it's substantial money. It's, the overall cost of the project, we're talking over $500,000. So that can come back to the project.
What's the time frame for that to come back?
It won't come back till after we've closed it.
Once it's completed?
after construction, yeah.
It'll be
that money-
nice. to help out with the debt service or something like that.
Yeah, so that, those funds would flow to the city anyway, I'm assuming it would.
Right.
Right, it wouldn't come to the school district. All right.
Contract update with Demio, the AIA 133, the contract for pre-construction. The review process has been finalized. We're just waiting on Demio to send us the finalized signed copy from them for the district to execute. We did hire for environmental engineering services, Teague and Bond. We got a proposal from them for, it's not in the report because it just came in within the last week, for $13,500 total. That's for both projects. Left field was reviewed. We find that cost to be fair and reasonable. That'll show up in next month's report under encumbered services.
And that is for the phase 1 environmental site assessment for the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management. After phase 1, there is a phase 2 environmental site assessment, depending on what is uncovered during the phase 1. That will cost substantially more than $13,000.
But it's not sure that you're gonna have to do a phase 2. It's based on phase 1, right?
Yeah, we're sure, though. I mean, most likely you're gonna have to, it's Warwick, there's a lot of different development in this area over the same time. It's a historical report, so if they really turn up anything other than the land wasn't used, then we're gonna probably have to do it. Just to be honest and just to prepare the group for what's gonna be coming down the
Well, they have to find some contaminants in order to go to a phase 2.
So you don't have to find contaminants because they actually don't do any soil testing as part of the phase 1. So
Right.
phase 1 is a historical analysis of the site. using
Right,
all-
what was it used for?
Yeah, exactly. What was the site used for? If the site was used for any commercial, industrial, if it was used as a quarry when they built I-95, there's a lot of some of these sites that were developed after 95 got built, they will have to do testing. The extent of it, however, might be much smaller. So if they say, hey, it was a field for eternity up until when we just had one maybe mechanic shop on the far right of the site, then they would just have to test that one area. But they also have to do they have to figure out what the groundwater is across the site. There's a bunch of other things going on. So it is a it's a DEM requirement. We'd rather give them what they want, keep them out of our hair, than have them come back to us and ask for something, open up a can of worms.
So many hoops. More hoops.
How far do you go back? Go back to the Pilgrims?
We go back to, yeah, they're gonna look for your ancestors.
No pun intended.
Yeah, right, looking for the Patriots.
Yeah.
Under commissioning services, so we did issue a purchase order to BR Plus A for commissioning agent services in accordance with their price proposal, which I believe was just over $300,000. I don't have the number in front of me, but under project budget, Chris mentioned the project budget remains the same at $350 million, no changes there. Project schedule, we'll talk about that in a second. And I'm just going to turn the page to the project budget summary. I'll point us all to, and you'll need your magnifying glasses for this, but expended column number E. To date, or as of the date of this report, we have a total of $3,584,000 expended. That's for SOM Architecture, that's Secoshio Architects, that is for Demio for pre-construction services, that's for left field project management, and also for Garofalo for the surveying services that we talked about earlier. So that is the total amount at the bottom of column E, $3.5 million expended to date. And lastly, we'll just go to the final page, which is the schedule for pre-construction services. Just overall, the project delivery dates have not changed. We still anticipate construction to start in the spring of 2025. What we are still finalizing are the final submission dates for schematic design and when design development is going to start. We are trying to nail down the value engineering scope in the next 2 weeks, and that's going to determine when we can actually submit the schematic design package to RIDE. Once we know the full extent of the value engineering that's going to be accepted and what the full scope of the project is going to be going forward, then we'll be able to, the architects will have to work to incorporate all of those adjustments into their documents before submitting and moving into the next phase. But again, the overall schedule for delivery of the project has not changed as of today.
Is the construction date still?
Remains the same
Okay.
as of today, yeah.
Whether it's indicated with a diamond, say, but the package is supposed to be at RIDE at the end of June. So that was the original target, that.
Yeah,
represents the schedule.
That might adjust a little bit again, where the value engineering process is ongoing. We want to finalize that by the end of next week at the latest. And then from there, we need to see what the architects will need in terms of time to incorporate all of those adjustments into their documents.
In schedule, in column eight, legal fees, looks like $1,000 to date.
Oh, yeah.
What is that then for?
Column E,
Expended. Which one item?
You asked us
that's
to-
for committed cost, that's for the project labor agreement feasibility study.
Okay.
Common law. It hasn't been invoiced yet, it's the feasibility study's only just started. But that's column D, that's encumbered costs.
Who's doing that?
Conley Law,
Who?
Conley,
Billy Conley.
We can.
So there's really only two firms that really do these PLA studies in Rhode Island. There's a third as well, but sometimes there's a bit of a conflict of interest with that firm.
Again, I'm opposed to a PLA. It's completely unnecessary. There's billions of dollars worth of work. Why do you want to narrow the field to a certain class of labor? Sorry, Bill.
Had to do that.
Didn't put Candace in between you two.
Really, seriously. No reason for it.
So,
Mr. Dixon, to you.
so in meeting with we're meeting with Common Law. All of these are gonna be brought up, all of these discussions about how big the projects are, you know, the available labor pool with all these other projects going on.
Most likely gonna go union. There's not.
Well, I mean,
why
the
limit
Vimeo is a
prevailing
signatory to a number of firms, and
Sure.
the amount of the shops that can perform this work that are this
Sure.
that large or general.
Sure.
I mean, there's a couple open shops, but they usually don't come down to Rhode Island, you know, Griff, you know, other things like that. But I think it's, what we're talking about, the size of our work and the amount, how big the check that we're cutting. You know, we do have an advantage over some of the other projects, and that's where PLA might help us, is because we're cutting a bigger check. But you're right, if there's only 200 electricians and 7 projects have PLAs, and we're all competing for those 200 electricians, it's gonna be difficult. But that's where the concessions come in, where we say if you can't provide the labor, then we have an opportunity to open it up, and bring in whoever we can to
And the
get the
building
job.
trades have signed off on that as well.
Sorry?
That the possibility of a non-union contractor, the building trades have.
So, yeah, so there also is possibilities, you know, and speaking with the unions and speaking with the project labor team, and of course, bringing on Dimeo as well, you know, there is an opportunity for open shops to come in and be treated basically as part of the union for a project labor agreement on specific projects. You know, that's more difficult than just saying, hey, we're gonna work for you, right? Because they have to carry a certain amount of money in the envelope as well as in their benefits packages, and there's a lot of legal things that weigh into that. And also, you know, union rates are generally higher, obviously, than open shop rates for some, not on prevailing wage projects, but in the general work that some of these open shop firms might do. And as, you know, some firms may not want to commit to paying a higher prevailing wage rate for certain work and then going back to a lower rate for other work. It's just, there's a lot of moving parts for it, and it's not an easy decision, which is why we come to you with the PLA study, and so that this group can then make a recommendation based
I imagine if there's exceptions, that language is critical, right? How you put that in writing is gonna be critical.
That is what,
You don't want any vagueness in how you can interpret it.
this is one of the biggest projects, this is the biggest project in Rhode Island, right?
Sure.
There's substantial pressure by people that help pass this bond that the project goes a certain way. With that being said, we need to make sure that the project gets delivered on time and on budget. So I think that's the name of the game, is what options, what flexibility do we have in a project labor agreement? What concessions can be made in order to bring on open shop trades, open it up if labor isn't being produced? Because, you know, if there's nobody at the hall, there's nobody at the hall, right?
Right.
And if you can't pull them out of the hall because there's nobody there, then we can't delay. So there's a lot of moving parts, and I think it's about flexibility.
When they
If
do,
the hall can't pull it out. How's the non-union guy gonna pull it out?
He's got to move through, yeah. that's
Yeah.
the idea. But we're also, as part of this, we also talked about, when we talked to the construction managers as part of the interview process, it's what are your relationships like with subcontractors, not just here in Rhode Island, but in Connecticut and Massachusetts? If there's now it's difficult because rates in Boston are higher than rates here, right? They're making $15 more an hour up in Boston than they are making down here in Rhode Island. But we've had success on another project with getting a Massachusetts contractor to come down because they had enough people that lived here in Rhode Island that said, I'd rather take less money than have to commute to Boston and back. I would take less money.
Also, the work in Boston has slowed down considerably than where it was.
It has. The life sciences sector is pretty much drawn to a close. A lot of their school building projects that are in Boston Metro have either been completed or in the early planning stages. Having said that, getting people to come down here to Rhode Island isn't the easiest thing to do, but they'll go where the work is.
Yeah.
So
So what's the time schedule on the study?
we should have something for you, a preliminary, something for you by our next building committee weekend, but I would say a decision would probably need to be made in August.
In August?
Do they take into account all the other work, the large projects in Pawtucket, Middletown, Johnston?
South Kingstown, North
Right.
Providence,
Yeah.
yes. So, as part of my job, I did meet with union leadership.
Yeah.
And so it was exactly what I said to them. I said, you've got, specifically this meeting was about South Kingstown because they were really pushing to go after South Kingstown.
Right.
And I said, I'm not writing as big a check in South Kingstown as I am in Warwick or as Pawtucket's writing. How is the PLA going to help me? They're salesmen to some extent, right? This is they want to make sure that this project that they, they're advocating for their workers. So I understand that. It's a concern though. We need to be honest with ourselves. There's $1 million worth of work all going on at the same time. And Rhode Island's only got 1 million people in the state. So it's about the level of concessions we can get. But I think for all intents and purposes, this project will probably have we'll have a PLA in effect, but it's what sort of PLA we have. And of course, if Dimmy was already signatories to the Carpenters and Laborers Union, those parts of the project are already union, no matter what. But I think for us, just going on the conversation so far, because of the way the project is structured, you're going to have 2 projects going on at the same time. It becomes incredibly attractive to subcontractors because they can have one crew moving through one building, keep them on site, and have them moving through the
It's
next.
really one project, if you think about it.
Exactly. And that's one of the things we talked about in the construction management interviews is how are you going to provide value? And it's those subcontractor relationships is how can you sequence work to make sure that people are following each other. And the shops that can perform that, they're large shops, they're medium shops. So, there aren't too many large non-union shops in Rhode Island. There are a lot in Massachusetts, but there aren't as many here in Rhode Island. So we just need to be cognizant of that fact.
Griffin, forgive me for asking this, I wasn't here in May, but does the commissioning agent fall under your contract? Is that someone you secured?
So no, the commissioning agent is actually a third-party consultant that's hired directly.
Right, so how's that different from what you guys are doing in this thing?
Commissioning?
Yeah, a commissioning agent.
So a commissioning agent is responsible for testing, or monitoring the testing and balancing, making sure that all the HVAC, mechanical, electrical, plumbing that you have that's specified is installed correctly, is working functionally, is properly, is basically what you're buying is what you're getting. We have an MEP expert on our team, which all OPMs don't have, who basically is our management of that commissioning team. So you don't have someone like John who's an architect or someone like me who's a strict project manager managing commissioning because it's an incredibly technical, difficult process. We're talking about control systems and things like that. I'd be out of my element. John, I think you'd be out of your element too.
Neither architectural firm has that expertise either.
No.
So,
Steve, we can't do that. It's a conflict of interest if we do it.
So there is one OPM firm or 2 that have their own commissioning teams. We see that as a conflict of interest as well, because if the commissioning agent screws up, how's the OPM going to throw them under the bus? So it's a contract that we don't hold either for conflict of interest purposes, but it's a critical part of the project.
how much is that contract?
300.
Okay.
Yeah, 3.5.
That's not bad, actually.
Chris, can I ask you a question? And forgive my ignorance. Because didn't you not start to order things like switch gears and things until, RIDE approves the schematic?
Yeah, so,
I'm just concerned about lead time for supply chain wise.
so as long as we have an SD project submitted, I mean, there are things like switchgear, right? It's not gonna change too much, specification's not gonna change too much. We know how much power we need, we know the outs we need, things like that. Generators, same thing. Where we would need to worry, I think it's sort of past us for ordering things that might change. But steel, as an example, we're not gonna order steel because we have an approved SD set and we have finalized the building layout. So if we got more time, if this was COVID, I would say, yes, we need to order steel. Same time we're ordering switchgear and the other things like that, but steel's dropped, lead times for steel dropped all the way back down to where they were. Same with roofing materials, roofing insulation. We don't have those concerns anymore. Steve, Al, do you have any?
I think you're right. In my time.
So Chris, you got early bid packages, electrical equipment, mid-September. That's for both buildings, we'll be ready to order electrical?
Yeah, we should be close to the end. Where's the DD submittal? Sorry, getting confused.
DD goes in
Mid-September?
Yeah, so as soon as, once the DD set goes, we start ordering those other release packages.
you got the same time that the early bid package is the same date as the DD estimate. And that's prior to the VE process, but that shouldn't really involve switchgear, right? Like you said, you know what you get for power, you know what you need, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, for the most part, those two items that we're concerned with are switchgear and generators.
Right.
Yeah. As long as everything else is, we're being aggressive in our schedule.
Right.
But again, the idea is we don't want to be waiting on things, we want things waiting on us. And also the earlier we can get the site, foundations, packages, things like that, the further ahead we are of the other projects,
Right.
the better.
For sure.
Just to clarify that conditioning contract, 383,000. I know that was mentioned a couple of times, just want to confirm that.
So
Still
it's
for
usually-
$1 square foot.
Yeah, and generally industry pricing is about $1.50 a square foot, so it's under, it's a good price.
Any other questions for left field? Okay. Public comments? Mr. DeCourt. Yeah.
For Mike.
Yes.
The Drum Rock School, does that have a scheduled date to be raised?
To be raised,
Yeah, you said it's gonna.
Be knocked down.
Right.
Yeah, so we're gonna, we don't have an exact schedule now, but we're looking to do it prior to the start of the shovels in the ground for the new high school. So March, April, by that time next year.
Will that affect the hydrant that's being used to supply water to the mall up top?
No, that's off to the left.
Okay.
That's off to the left of the woods.
I'll confirm that.
It's not part of, it sits back in the corner of the lot.
Okay.
I didn't know if that was gonna be used for dust control or what have you. You give me a little more leverage.
Should have a more developed schedule for the drum rock demolition by the next meeting, so we can update the committee.
The water department does look there regularly and check that system out too. We'll catch them on camera showing up.
The fire suppression pump went down on that mall. So they ran a new line up from Colgate intersection all the way to Chili's.
Yep.
I'm just waiting, this is a year now. I'm waiting for the connection from the street to the property so we can have sprinklers back.
If we can help you, we'll gladly help you.
That's why I'm asking if it
Yeah.
would affect it, then we put a little, push the attorney who's in charge, to move it along.
There isn't any work at either of the high school sites being done this summer that would conflict with like football camps or anything like that, correct?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else for left field or anyone else? Okay. All right, committee member requests for future consideration. If anybody wants something on the agenda, feel free to reach out to Jen or myself or Steve or Mike. Next meeting would be July 10th. Oh God almighty, July 10th. If there's no other business, look for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lucy, seconded by Mr. Bowl. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Want to shut that down?
Stop recording.
Best thing to do, have a conversation with